Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. For our next story, we head back over to West Asia, where Palestinians held funeral processions today for the 5 journalists and others killed in Israeli strikes on Gaza's Nasser medical complex. Reuters confirmed cameraman Hussam al-Masri and freelancer Moaz Abu Taha were killed, while photographers Hatem Khaled was wounded. The agency said it was devastated and urged urgent medical help for Khaled. Health officials have also named Mariam Abu Daga and freelancer for the Associated Press and Al Jazeera cameraman Mohammed Salama among the dead, along with a civil defense worker. Here's what some of the victims' family had to say on the issue.
When and where is it going to end? Are we going to let the Israel Defense Forces continue the repeated killing of journalists?
The Israeli military said it struck near Nasser Hospital, and the chief of staff has ordered an inquiry. It reiterated that it does not target journalists, while Gaza's media union called the attack deliberate. Turkey condemned the strike as a war crime aimed at silencing the press. Press freedom group Reporters Without Borders urged a strong international response, stressing the third floor was hit was a known workspace for reporters. More than 240 Palestinian journalists have been killed since the war began in October of 2023. Here is what Reporters Without Borders Director General Thibaut Brutin had to say. Okay, bear with us while we get that statement for you.
And are we going to let the Israel Defense Forces continue the repeated killing of journalists? There is international law. There are guarantees that should be granted to journalists covering conflicts, and none of that seems to be applying. So we need to be very clear about the fact that none of the journalists that are allegedly terrorists are terrorists. They are professional journalists working for legacy professional media, like, for example, Reuters or, for example, AP.
We're now joined by Ahmed Fatwa, who's a spokesperson for the Fatah movement. He joins us live from Ramallah. Thank you very much for joining us, Ahmed, here on the program. Can I get your reaction, please, Ahmed, to the death of these 20 individuals, 5 of them being journalists working for various news organizations covering the war in Gaza? What is your response to the deaths of these individuals?
A grotesque war crime, a barbarity, cruel act by the Israeli occupation, another crime and war crime added to the list of the numerous war crimes that they have been doing for the past 22 months. It is astonishing, it is outrageous that this regime continues to do these crimes with full impunity and without any outrage from world governments or from United States or from all the superpowers of the world that are watching the Palestinian people suffering this brutality and barbarity for the last 22 months without any action. It is shame and disgrace upon this world that watch children dying and living in fear and terror while it's silent, and not only silent, but giving Israel all the tools and all the mechanism to continue its massacres and with the impunity they enjoy in the international community and United Nations. We ask for the international community to take its moral obligation to stop this criminality. Today, 20 between journalists and medical workers and civil defense workers were targeted deliberately and directly by the Israeli occupation, the ruthless Israeli occupation that care not about Palestinian lives, that shows glaring racism, glaring supremacist ideologies against the Palestinian people and calling for the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. That demands from the international community to take the moral obligation to protect the international law, to protect the human lives, to protect the children who are suffering for the past 22 months. Are we living in the law of the jungle? Is this the end of the international law? We need answers. If this is the law of the jungle, then let the world burn. But we are here to defend the international law, to defend the international humanitarian law, and to defend our values, to build a civil and modern world that respects the lives of journalists, that respects the lives of doctors and children.
Ahmed, Israel has, of course, responded to this attack, as have many other bodies, but it has said that it is going to conduct an initial inquiry into the strikes. It also said that it regrets any harm to uninvolved individuals and does not target journalists. Your response to this statement and the trustworthiness of an IDF investigation into a matter like this?
At this stage, it's pointless and useless to bring any justification by the Israeli occupation. Conducting investigation, this is maybe a number 1,000 investigation in the last 2 months alone. It is lies, it's propaganda, and Israel is the criminal and the perpetrator and should not be even taken any way seriously or even presented in the news, because this is a criminal regime that's doing crimes intentionally, deliberately, and openly saying it. So we have to be wise enough and to be intelligent enough to regret or dismiss these, lip service that they are doing. But we know too well what they are doing, and that is the exterminating of the Palestinian people. We see it. The reports is there. The IPC has a report of famine. The world is reporting about the deliberate targeting of journalists, medical staff, hospitals, schools, everything. There's enough war crimes to look at Israel as the criminal. So it's time to look at Israel of what it is, a criminal regime that is killing and colonizing other people's lands. So I think it's time to stop this. And for the sake for the journalists, your very colleagues who are being targeted, more than 200 killed. Why they are killed? It is to silence the truth. It's to hide the truth. Why they refuse international journalists to go to Gaza? To silence the truth and to hide the truth. And the truth is that Israel is doing unprecedented barbaric criminality, and we see it by our own eyes. So it's time to not take anything from Israel except that they are criminals and should be chased in the world court, and the international community should do its moral obligation to defend the defenseless Palestinian people and to save our humanitarian law.
Ahmed, last week when a prominent Al Jazeera journalist was killed alongside five others, Israel were immediate to label him Hamas. They claimed to have provided evidence. Given Israel's minimal response to this, they of course responded, but not in the same way. Do you think what do you think that says about this attack, given their not as upfront accusations as before?
Israel, with this full impunity, with this full-fledged support by the complicit United States in this genocide, does not care at justification or giving any reasons for their crimes. They are doing crimes, and the world is just watching, unfortunately. Last, Anas, the journalist from Al Jazeera, was not member of Hamas at all. This is a lie, and they know too well that this is a lie, because using the word Hamas to explain every criminal under the sun, that is, a joke. So we have to stop listening to these statements by the Israeli occupation. Now they killed journalists, and this is the number more than 240 killed. So are they all Hamas? Of course not. Now today we have seen them targeting them deliberately. Then the paramedics coming up to rescue them, to try to rescue, to collect the bodies, and they directly hit them with a drone. That is, a very clear war crime, and we should not take anything to explain this except an independent international committee to investigate the war crimes that has been going on in Palestine for the past 22 months. Any less than that is giving justification to the Israeli occupation. Israel is not a democratic country. Israel is not a country that respects freedom or human rights. It is violating the international, it's violating the democracy, it's violating all our values. It's time to deal with Israel as the way it is, the criminal, the war criminal it is.
Ahmed, do stay with us here on the program. We have some further updates from West Asia. In a significant development, Israel has signaled